Hi there, this is Eric for Ochoy. In this video we're going to talk about working with cameras in Octane for Maya. And for this video I'm using the Space Cantina Interior 03 scene. And this is our Space Cantina or outer space bar with some toon shading applied to it. I'm going to go into the outliner and I'm going to select Bar Cam, which is the camera that we're currently looking through. And let's open up the attribute editor. So to access the Octane attributes, you want to go to the shape node. So if you'll notice in the OctaneRender shelf, there is a special Octane camera button here that you can use to add an Octane camera to your scene. But you should know that every camera in a Maya scene is technically an Octane camera. All the Octane attributes that affect how it renders in Octane are automatically added to every camera in the scene. So they've already been added to the standard perspective, top, front, and side cameras, as well as any new cameras that I add to the scene and this bar cam. So you can create cameras the way you normally do with this camera menu, or you can click on the shelf button. Either way, it's the same difference. So if we take a look in the attribute editor and we go to the top, you'll see all the standard Maya attributes are available. Only some of them will actually affect the way that the camera renders an Octane scene. Things like angle of view and focal length will work just fine. If I set that to 50, you can see it's changing the perspective and the field of view. And also the near clip plane and the far clip plane can be used with Octane cameras. Let's set this back to 35. And let's go down here to the section called Octane. So all of the Octane specific settings are found in this folder. One of the most important settings is the Octane camera type. By default, this is set to thin lens, which is the same as a standard movie camera, or a kind of camera you would render a scene with. The other options include panorama, baking, and OSL, and these will be discussed in other videos in this section. But just to take a quick look, if I switch to panoramic, it's going to render a 360-degree view of the scene. Let's switch it back to thin lens. And then we have settings like aperture for creating depth of field effects and also stereo output. So if I want to render a stereo image, I can set this to side by side or over under, or I could just render just the left camera and just the right camera. And of course also anaglyph if we're going to use red-green separation to create the 3D effect. And all of these settings can also be applied to panoramic cameras. Set this back to disabled. We also have baking, which allows you to bake lighting into textures, which then can be reapplied to surfaces for real-time rendering. And OSL, and we'll cover these camera types in videos later on in this section. So everything else about the camera is very similar to a Maya camera. You can animate it the same way you would animate any Maya camera. And that covers the basics. In the next video, we'll take a look at working with depth of field effects.